There comes a moment in every human life when a quiet realization takes place. It does not announce itself with noise or drama. It arrives silently, yet it carries the power to alter the entire direction of one's destiny. That moment is when a person understands that the past has no authority over the future, except the authority they choose to give it. Right here, right now, you stand at the threshold of a new beginning. Your new life starts here. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when conditions improve, but at the exact moment you decide to think differently. A new life does not begin with a change of location, a change of people, or a change of circumstances. It begins with a change of control. The moment you accept full responsibility for your thoughts and decisions, you step out of confusion and into direction. Until that moment, life feels as if it is happening to you, pushing and pulling you according to forces beyond your influence. When control is taken, life begins to respond instead of dictate. This shift is quiet, but it is decisive because it transfers authority from chance to choice. Thoughts are not harmless visitors passing through the mind. They are builders shaping the structure of daily experience. Every repeated thought strengthens a pattern, and every pattern forms a habit of action or inaction. When thoughts are left unmanaged, they are easily influenced by fear, opinion, and past failure. When they are guided deliberately, they become tools of creation. Taking control of thought means selecting what deserves attention and rejecting what weakens purpose. It means understanding that emotions follow thoughts, and actions follow emotions, and results follow actions. Decision is the point at which thought turns into power. Many people think endlessly but decide rarely. They wait for certainty, permission, or perfect conditions, not realizing that certainty is created after decision, not before it. The act of deciding settles the mind, eliminates inner conflict, and gives direction to effort. When a decision is firm, the mind stops negotiating with doubt and begins searching for ways forward. Control over decisions means refusing to revisit choices out of fear once they have been made with clarity. A person who controls their decisions controls their time. Time wasted in hesitation, regret, and comparison disappears when purpose becomes clear. Energy that was once scattered across many worries gathers into a single direction. Even small actions gain strength when they are aligned with a definite decision. Life begins to feel intentional rather than accidental, and progress becomes measurable, not imagined. Taking control does not mean denying difficulty or pretending challenges do not exist. It means refusing to allow difficulty to define identity or limit effort. Problems become tasks to be addressed instead of verdicts to be accepted. Each challenge tests the firmness of decision and strengthens self-trust when faced without retreat. Control grows with use just as weakness grows with surrender. The past often attempts to reclaim authority through memory, regret, or old labels. Taking control requires understanding that the past is a reference, not a residence. It contains lessons, not laws. When decisions are based on present purpose rather than past experience, growth becomes possible. Control over thought includes the discipline to release what no longer serves direction. External opinions lose their power when internal decisions are clear. Approval and criticism carry equal weight when a person measures progress against purpose rather than praise. This inner stability is not arrogance, it is alignment. When thought and decision move in the same direction, confidence becomes natural, not forced. A new life takes form as these elements combine: deliberate thought, firm decision, focused action, and consistent responsibility. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce control rather than surrender it. With repetition, this control becomes identity, and identity shapes destiny. Definite purpose is not a vague desire or a hopeful wish. It is a clear decision that gives direction to thought, action, and persistence. Without purpose, effort is scattered, and energy is wasted on reactions instead of creation. A person may be busy every day and still move nowhere, because movement without direction produces only exhaustion. Purpose urges the mind into focus and gives meaning to effort. When purpose is definite, the mind knows what to accept and what to reject, what deserves attention and what must be ignored. Most frustration in life is born from uncertainty. When an individual does not know what they are working toward, every obstacle feels heavier and every delay feels personal. Definite purpose removes this confusion. It becomes an internal compass that guides decisions, especially when circumstances are unclear. Instead of asking what feels easiest or safest, the mind begins to ask what moves closer to the chosen aim. This single shift transforms discipline from struggle into alignment. Purpose organizes thought. Once the mind accepts a clear objective, it naturally begins to search for ideas, people, and opportunities related to that objective. What once went unnoticed suddenly becomes visible. The same world exists, but perception changes. This is not coincidence. It is the mind responding to clarity. Indefinite minds attract random outcomes, while definite minds attract relevant ones. Achievement is not the result of luck, but of sustained direction. Definite purpose provides the strength to persist when immediate results are absent. Without it, temporary defeat feels final. With it, setbacks are interpreted as part of the process. Purpose gives failure context, turning it into instruction rather than discouragement. The individual who knows exactly why they are moving forward does not abandon the journey at the first sign of resistance. Many people confuse activity with progress. Definite purpose exposes this illusion. It forces honesty about where time and energy are being invested. When actions do not align with purpose, discomfort appears not as punishment but as guidance. This discomfort pushes correction and refinement. Over time, life becomes more intentional and wasted motion decreases. Purpose also strengthens self-belief. When a person commits to a clear aim, they begin to see themselves as someone moving toward something meaningful. Identity starts to shift. Confidence grows not from praise, but from consistency. Each small action taken in harmony with purpose reinforces trust in oneself. This trust becomes the foundation of courage, especially in moments that require persistence without validation. External opinions lose influence in the presence of definite purpose. Praise does not inflate, and criticism does not paralyze. Direction becomes internal rather than dependent. This independence allows growth without constant reassurance. The individual is no longer pulled in multiple directions by trends, expectations, or comparison. Focus replaces noise. Definite purpose also brings patience. When the destination is clear, there is less urgency to rush and less temptation to quit. Time is understood as an ally rather than an enemy. Effort becomes steady instead of desperate. Progress may be slow, but it is consistent, and consistency compounds quietly. Every meaningful achievement stands on this foundation. Talent without purpose fades. Opportunity without purpose passes unnoticed. Effort without purpose dissolves into fatigue. Purpose turns ordinary ability into directed power and transforms potential into measurable progress. Your circumstances do not possess the power you often assign to them. They are conditions, not conclusions. What gives them influence is the meaning you attach to them through your mindset. Two individuals can face the same situation and experience entirely different outcomes, not because the situation changes, but because perception does. Mindset is the lens through which reality is interpreted, and that interpretation determines action, endurance, and result. The human mind is not a passive observer of life. It is an active participant in shaping experience. Every belief held consistently becomes a directive to behavior. When the mind expects limitation, it unconsciously searches for evidence to confirm it. When the mind expects growth, it becomes alert to possibility. This is not optimism without effort. It is alignment between belief and behavior. Action follows belief more reliably than it follows logic. Circumstances often appear powerful because they are visible and immediate. Mindset works quietly beneath the surface, shaping responses over time. A person who believes they are trapped will act cautiously, hesitate frequently, and interpret obstacles as warnings. A person who believes they are capable will act decisively, learn from errors, and interpret obstacles as challenges. Over time, these responses compound into vastly different lives. Even if both began under similar conditions, mindset also determines how failure is processed. One perspective treats failure as evidence of inadequacy. Another treats it as information. The event is identical, but the internal response determines whether progress continues or stops. When failure is interpreted as a verdict, effort collapses. When it is interpreted as feedback, strategy evolves. Growth requires the second interpretation. Without it, potential remains locked behind fear of repetition. The stories you tell yourself shape your identity. Repeated inner dialogue becomes belief, and belief becomes behavior. If the narrative centers on disadvantage, blame, or helplessness, action shrinks. If the narrative centers on responsibility, learning, and possibility, action expands. Changing results requires changing the narrative that justifies current behavior. This change does not happen once. It happens through repeated correction of thought. Mindset influences the use of time. Those who see life as limited rush without direction or delay without purpose. Those who see life as expandable invest time strategically. They understand that effort today compounds into strength tomorrow. Patience becomes easier when progress is viewed as cumulative rather than immediate. This patience is not passive, it is deliberate endurance, extern. Resources matter less than internal orientation. Skills can be learned, connections can be built, and knowledge can be acquired, but none of these are used fully without the belief that they can make a difference. Mindset unlocks resources that already exist. Without it, even abundant opportunity feels inaccessible. Pressure reveals mindset more clearly than comfort. Under stress, habitual thoughts surface. A trained mindset responds with problem solving. An untrained one responds with avoidance or blame. This is why discipline of thought must occur before difficulty arises. Preparation happens internally long before opportunity or challenge appears. When mindset shifts, behavior follows naturally. There is less need for motivation because action aligns with belief. Consistency replaces bursts of effort. Progress becomes sustainable rather than exhausting. Circumstances begin to change not because they were forced, but because responses to them changed. Reality adjusts to the level of expectation supported by action. Persistence is the quality that separates intention from achievement. Many begin with enthusiasm, confidence, and ambition, but few continue when results are delayed. Temporary defeat is not a signal of failure. It is a natural stage in every worthwhile pursuit. Those who misunderstand this stage interpret resistance as rejection and withdraw their effort. Those who persist understand that resistance is proof of movement, evidence that they are pushing beyond familiar limits. Persistence does not deny difficulty. It refuses to surrender to it. Every setback carries instruction. When effort meets opposition, the mind is forced to adjust, refine, and strengthen its approach. Without persistence, these lessons are never learned. Temporary defeat becomes permanent only when effort stops. Success often appears to others as sudden, but it is usually the result of repeated attempts invisible to the world. What looks like an overnight victory is often the final step of a long process sustained by endurance. Persistence reshapes the inner world before it reshapes external results. Each time an individual continues despite disappointment, self-trust grows. Confidence is no longer dependent on immediate outcomes, but on the knowledge that effort will not be abandoned. This inner certainty becomes a stabilizing force. Emotions lose their power to dictate action, and discipline replaces impulse. Persistence trains the mind to remain steady under pressure. Many abandon their goals not because they are incapable, but because they expect progress to be linear. Real progress is uneven. It advances, pauses, retreats, and advances again. Persistence accepts this rhythm. It allows space for delay without interpreting it as defeat. The individual who persists understands that time spent refining strategy is not wasted time, but preparation for more effective action. Temporary defeat often appears at the edge of growth. When a person reaches the limits of their current skill, knowledge, or belief, resistance increases. This is not a sign to retreat, but a signal to expand capacity. Persistence keeps effort alive long enough for growth to occur. Without it, potential remains dormant. With it, ability develops naturally through use and challenge. Persistence also filters desire. Only goals rooted in genuine purpose survive repeated difficulty. Shallow wishes dissolve quickly, while meaningful aims gain strength through struggle. This process clarifies commitment. The individual learns which goals are worth continued effort and which were distractions. Persistence refines focus by removing what lacks depth. The world responds differently to those who persist. Opportunities often appear only after repeated effort demonstrates seriousness. Trust is built over time, not in declarations. When action continues despite uncertainty, others recognize reliability. This reliability attracts support, collaboration, and opportunity. Persistence becomes a signal that effort will not be wasted. Fear weakens under persistence. Each time action continues in its presence, fear loses authority. It becomes background noise rather than a command. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act without waiting for fear to disappear. Persistence makes this decision habitual. Over time, challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Lasting success is rarely dramatic. It is built quietly through consistent effort sustained BAO. ND discouragement. Temporary defeat is not erased. It is absorbed into experience. Persistence transforms every obstacle into part of the foundation, strengthening what stands above it. Faith is not a passive hope that things will somehow improve. It is an active state of mind created by repeated focus on a chosen aim. When thought is disciplined and directed, faith forms naturally as confidence in outcome. This confidence does not depend on visible evidence. It is built through inner alignment. When faith is present, hesitation weakens and action becomes more decisive. Focused action is the physical expression of faith. Belief without action remains imagination. Action without belief becomes forced and inconsistent. When the two move together, progress accelerates. Each step taken in the direction of a clear aim strengthens belief, and each increase in belief sharpens the quality of action. This cycle builds momentum that carries effort forward even when results are not immediate. Opportunities rarely arrive fully formed or clearly labeled. They often appear disguised as problems, delays, or unexpected changes. Faith allows recognition beyond appearance. A focused mind notices patterns, connections, and openings that an unfocused mind overlooks. This awareness is not mystical. It is the result of attention trained toward a definite purpose. When attention is disciplined, relevance becomes visible. Many people wait for confidence before they act, not realizing that confidence is produced by action. Faith grows through experience, not anticipation. Each completed effort, no matter how small, provides evidence to the mind that progress is possible. This evidence compounds into trust in one's ability to continue. Over time, doubt loses influence because it is repeatedly contradicted by experience. Focused action also clarifies direction. Not every effort produces immediate success, but every effort produces information. When faith is present, this information is used constructively. Adjustments are made without self-criticism. Strategy evolves without loss of commitment. Action becomes intelligent rather than desperate. Consistency is the natural outcome of faith-based action. When belief is steady, effort becomes habitual. This habit removes reliance on mood or external motivation. Work continues during periods of enthusiasm and during periods of uncertainty. This steady rhythm is what attracts results that appear effortless to others, but are built on disciplined repetition. Faith influences relationships as well. People respond to clarity and certainty. When action is focused, communication becomes direct, and collaboration becomes easier. Others sense commitment and are more willing to invest time, trust, and resources. Opportunities expand through interaction, not isolation. Faith expressed through action creates credibility. Fear does not disappear in the presence of faith, it loses authority. Action continues despite uncertainty. Each time this happens, fear weakens, courage becomes practical rather than emotional. The individual learns that discomfort is not danger and that growth often requires temporary instability. The combination of faith and focused action aligns internal intention with external movement. Thoughts, decisions, and behavior move in the same direction. This alignment removes friction and conserves energy. Progress feels natural rather than forced. As this state is maintained, circumstances begin to shift in response to consistent effort. What once felt distant becomes reachable, not through chance, but through deliberate inner control expressed in persistent action.